So it is our time. Today, Saturday, 2nd of March, 2024. Let's start with quick prayer. Father Almighty, here we are together once more in your name to enjoy the marvelous opportunity to study about mediumship, this wonderful work performed by Kardec. They are in our path to enlighten us and to help us to be better within ourselves and better to help others. Be with us, Father, today and always. So be it. So let me share the book. Here we go. Can you all see the book?
Yes.
Good. So we have stopped here, and bear in mind that this topic is very interesting and very important. If you do have any questions from the previous weekend, please feel free to do your exposure or your question. We have stated that the consequences of fascination are very serious. What happens is that, thanks to the delusion that results from it, these spirits guide from victims whom they have managed to dominate as if they were blind, and they can lead them to accept the most absurd doctrines and erroneous theories as being the sole expression of truth. Moreover, they can incite them to foolish, compromising, and even dangerous acts. I'm not sure if you all remember, but we're talking about here something that is very specific, is the fascination, right? And these will lead us to commit at least mistakes, believing that what we are doing is right, believing what is happening with us is really true and is positive, and sometimes it's not. Is that easy to find in the movement, in the Spiritist movement? I wouldn't say easy or frequent, but it happens from time to time. And when we see, as I mentioned last weekend, sometimes the person is not even prepared to accept that is happening with her or him, because it's so natural to the person that is involved in this phenomenon that the person do not see. The person, if I may say like that, prefers to see what she wanted to see, right? And quite often fascinations happen when those spirits around us find a breach in our protection and they identify what deep inside we want. For example, I want to be the best medium of the world. Deep inside, that's my wish, right? So they find that, they realize that, and they will give you a lot of food for thoughts initially, and they will start to create a whole scenario around you to make you believe that is happening. They will give you the right incentive to, well, it's really happening. I am becoming the best one. And when you realize that everything that's coming through you is not positive, right? I'm not saying that could not happen in a true sense of things. Like, yes, we had Francisco Xavier, we have Divaldo, we have so many others that are very good mediums. We had many mediums around the world, right? It could be happening, but it also could be happening something just to make us fail. So we need to be very careful with that kind of thing. And it's not easy to identify, and it's not easy to accept that is happening to us. Is also a situation where you do have the true situation where the person really is a good medium, is becoming an icon and things like that, and everyone around you start to tell him or her that you're fascinated. Because we also don't want to see the other guy next to us doing what we want to do, because he's doing his part and I cannot do mine. So it's a very tricky situation, right? And as I will say every time we speak about obsession, do not jump into conclusions. We need time to evaluate. If we do feel like there is something happening, we have to use a kind of a method to eliminate all doubts, to truly identify what is happening. And even with that, it's not easy. Not easy at all. One can easily and fully comprehend the difference between simple obsession and fascination. Let's go a step back. We all are under influence of spirits, period. It can be 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, could be 1 minute here, 10 minutes tomorrow. We are always under influence of spirits because we are surrounded by them. Likewise, we are under influence of our work colleagues because we are in the same environment. If we like or not, the guy sitting next door to us, he is somehow part of where we are, the same environment. Likewise, with the spirits. So we are under influence of spirits, and this is something very natural. Sometimes we burst because one fellow that's not very happy come closer to us, and we burst, we complain. It is natural. When we go now to simple obsession case, when these kind of things are happening more frequently, daily, then becomes something simple. Why we say simple? Is that because it's really simple? But the person that is suffering, the process is never simple. It's never pleasant. But it's simple to an extent that could be much worse, right? That's why people refer into a simple obsession case, right? Fascination would be a degree way above. But between a simple fascination, between a simple obsession and the fascination, there are tremendous different degrees that we could be facing with our day-to-day in the Spirit Center or within our own experiences in our life, right? It's not just simple fascination. It's not like that. Between both, you could have a tremendous variety of situations that we don't have a classification to each one of them. So Kardec was very wise, and he decided to show a simple one and one that's really complicated already. But between both, there are a tremendous variety of possibilities. And I lost where I was. Okay. One can also understand that the spirits who produce these two types must differ from each other in character. What he's trying to say here is that a simple obsession could be... Hi, Christine. I didn't see your hand. Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah. I was just going to say, just when you were speaking and just explaining a bit more about obsession and fascination, what I've found since being with the group is that my husband and I have always had this connection, but there's a deeper connection, and I feel more open to communications and things that are going to happen before they happen. And it's not an obsession with me. It's just part of my daily life that's happening. So I just accept it and move on.
Yeah. What you're describing to me is more like your sensitivity becomes more noticeable, if I can say like that, right?
Yeah.
But this is something that's positive if you have the proper study, if you have the proper practices, to allow you to control what is happening around you. In that scenario, can we have, going back to our topic, an obsession? Is always a possibility. But what you have to be is aware that, well, this is not me. Then I don't like to eat Häagen-Dazs, for example, and today I'm really want to have Häagen-Dazs, tomorrow again, and something like that, you know. So then you start to pay attention. Well, I may be under some sort of influence that I need to be a bit more careful, and that's very normal. All of us, right? This is a constant exercise we all need to do. Okay.
Okay.
In the former, spirits who attack themselves to mediums only convenience them by their tenacity, from which the medium try to break free. All right, so not to be unfair, let's say from 8 times out of 10, the medium will not realize what is happening. That's what practices show me. A great majority of mediums will not perceive what is happening with them. Not in the beginning, at least. Only when something becomes really, really undeniable, some may start to realize, right? But it always depends of whom we're talking about here, because there are people that will accept that something is happening, and there are people that will not accept, and then the result is a bit different. Hi, Osoli.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Guilherme. But, you know, I think about the spirits who is the another type. This type is very, very, very serious. This spirits some try maybe convince me that I am. Oh no, you can't. You are yet very not bad person, but you are not good medium. You must to stop this one. I swear I had this in this week. I must to pray so much. Father, help me, because I don't know what I do. And I almost contacted you, Guilherme. Please, Guilherme, help me, because then I bet so much, but I bet you don't too. I would like continue. I would like to try again. I know I can do something. I can. So then slapped this on the not to think the think every time here. The interesting, because yesterday I work volunteer works in the Red Cross, and there are many people from Ukraine, and we help. So I don't need to talk about details. So, and the interesting, because I note in this week when I do something good, they can't come in my tanker. They it's like a shoulder, you know. So protect me, and I must say that because yes, in this week I have the problem. Last week too, so I almost the same, because somebody say to me, you don't hire anybody. You must finish with this works in your works. So
let me take from there. Let me
So
take it from
thank you,
there.
thank you. Well, you
Let me
can
take it from
answer.
there. Well, let's use what Ursula said to us, and let's thinking about it. Okay. Why would a spirit would come to me saying that I'm not good, I should not do it? Because he sees that we are not fully convinced about ourselves. He sees that we have too much doubt about ourselves, about what we do. The moment that we don't have the doubts anymore, that's not going to happen anymore. It's over. When we see situations like that, it's because we are allowing them to come with our own thoughts, with our own doubts. And it is very normal with everyone, especially in the beginning.
Okay.
And then when we do have convinced ourselves why we are here, why we are part of a mediumship meeting, stops. It does not mean that in the future will happen again, because we also may be convinced that we are doing the right thing today. In a year from now, I'm start to have doubts again. And then here we go. We are inviting them to come back and to start again. And it can go to an extent that things will happen around you to prevent you physically to go. Someone that will knock on your door exactly at the right time where you're about to leave for a meeting, or someone that is knocking your door when you're about to connect online, or when you have to go to, for example, to do any charitable work. There's always a way to deviate you from what is good for you, and you know that. You know, everyone here knows what is good for you. Because I don't see anyone getting a hammer and hitting your fingers here. I don't see anyone here putting your finger on the power socket. Why not? Because it will hurt you. So we know what is good, we know what is not good for us. What is better for us? Going to a football match or to going to help someone that is in need? Both are very attractive. So then you need to make your call. What is better for you? What you want? And then based on your choices, you are defining those spirits that are around you. And they realize that, well, I may not be able to deviate her from that activity with a soap opera, but with a match or foot, yes, she will crack on. So every time now when she does have to go to do something positive, I'll find a way to put in front of her a different match that she cannot lose it. It's a kind of trial for all of us as well. But when we decide, when we define our path, it stops. And I'm saying that because it happens to me too. It happens to everyone, especially on the beginning. If you start to have doubts, you're in trouble. Now talking about additional charitable work for mediums. This is for everyone, but here we talk about mediumship. I will target mediums. We should endeavor to find a activity to help others, because it does create an environment around us that will help us, that will protect us. Back in Brazil, we create situations to allow mediums to engage in activities, because it's not straightforward. Where am I going to help? What am I going to do? I don't feel comfortable sharing food on the streets. I don't feel comfortable going to hospitals. I don't feel, we naturally are not comfortable beings helping others. Of course, we have exceptions. But most of us, we are not comfortable going out from our comfort zone to help others. So back in Brazil, we have the, how can I say, the system, the method to allow everyone that wants to help. Because on the Spirit Center, we create activities that will allow anyone on the mediums to engage in charitable activities. Because we know from the practice that when we do, we create like a shield. we feel more strong, we feel more protected. It's just because you think you are? No, it's not. Because every time when you do good, you get a little stone in your bank account. You get a little more protection around yourself. So that's why we strongly recommend all the mediums to do charitable work. All right. So when I'm talking about breaking free here, I think we get a picture, right? Sometimes we don't see, sometimes we don't believe. And when we do realize we are part of such a processes, we don't know what to do. Many times it goes against our beliefs. It may happen to everyone here in this room, but not with me. It's not happening with me. It's not possible to be happening with me. So we need to break some paradigms before we allow ourselves to, yes, I'm having problems. And then there's another problem. We are very proud beings. It's very difficult to ask for help. Imagine we are here in this group, we work together for 20 years, blah, blah, blah. Well, how can I say to everyone here that I feel like an obsession process may be taking place with me here? People will disbelieve me entirely. So I don't say anything, and I allow the process to grow even more. And the opposite is also true. When we do have people in the group that perceive that something is happening, and they will come to me, and I will deny entirely. I will think exactly the opposite. No, let's say Liz and Christine, they came to me talking, Gil, I think you're getting like something weird is happening, pay attention. And me, because I'm so convinced that I'm bulletproof, in my mind, what I would think is that Christine and Liz, they are the ones that are having problem, not me. Because I'm not prepared to accept that I'm having problem. I'm not prepared to accept that I need help. I'm not prepared to accept that I'm not perfect. And that could happen to everyone. So you need to be very careful with that. It is much different in the latter. For the order to achieve the purpose, such a spirits must be skillful. Do not think they don't know what they are doing. They are better organized than we are. Pay attention to what I'm saying. They are better organized than we are. And they know, if not the same what we know, even more. They have strategies. They have mechanisms that they can put in place. And they are never alone. A simple obsession is one spirit annoying you. And remember that I said there's so many different graduations. At its progress towards the fascination, you may have 2, 3, 4. You may have a team playing together to create you harm. To create you harm. And the harm, oh, well, Gil, you're a bit extreme. No. No. If you participate in some sort of mediumship meetings, you will see that what they want is to kill you sometimes. They want you to die so that you can get closer to them. And they can have even easier access to you, because then you'll be on the same place. So don't kid yourselves. It is a serious matter. And it's not because you're doing mediumship that it's not going to happen or will happen to you. No, it can happen to anyone on earth. Anyone, period. And having the knowledge that we have here help us to protect ourselves, our families, and our loved ones. Because the process will happen. If you're a spiritist, if you're Catholic, if you're nothing, atheist, whatever, the process may happen to anyone, right? And they sometimes possess more knowledge about certain matters than we do. So we need to be respectful as well when we are in front of such situations. And I will give an example here. we had a meeting where one of those situations came to us. We were there to try to help. And basically, we need to have in our minds that we want to help the spirit. Because if you want to help the person that is suffering only, you will fail. We have to help both sides of the coins. Otherwise, you will not succeed. Right? And this spirit came. And I had the pleasure to have a conversation with him. Nothing I've tried works. And he was very scientific. Then I start to speak about technicalities with him, about physics, about a few other things, because I try to establish a line of communication to help. Nothing works. And on the end of the conversation, I was frustrated. On the end of the meeting, the benefactor came and said to me, "You would not succeed. This type of spirits, you would not succeed like that." And I said, well, so now I have a problem then, because I've tried to use everything I know to... You forgot one thing. So what? To use your heart. So, oops. I was not expecting that. And he gave a little bit more information that basically this spirit, he knew way more than I do. Scientifically, technically, about spiritism, about how things works, how the mechanism of mediumship, he knew more than I do. And the only way I could reach him was with the heart. And I failed. So we need to be careful about how skillful they could be. All right? Cunning and deeply hypocritical, since they can only succeed at being deceptive if they impose themselves by wearing a mask and putting a false appearance of virtue. This is something else very interesting as well, because especially since internet became a reality, we could see so many nice texts on the internet with nice names on the bottom. And we have some very little words that make us believe that was not that spirit. Same thing could happen in a face-to-face conversation with the spirit through a medium, right? In a mediumship meeting, we could have a very nice conversation, speaking about God, speaking about only good things. And there are underlying messages that we need to be very careful, right? Again, that's why I always say to everyone, do not jump quickly into conclusions. Even when something is presented to you like something beautiful. Oh, that's beautiful. All right. Let's see the pattern of those messages. Let them come through. A month, 2 months, maybe years before you establish that is really positive. Okay? We need to be thorough both ways. Grand words such as charity, humility, and love for God serve as their calling card, but through it, all shine signs of how little evolved they are, which only those who are fascinated cannot perceive. We don't need to be fascinated not to perceive, right? I do not disagree with Kardec, because I'm nothing compared with his wisdom, but practice shows us otherwise. We don't need to be fascinated to believe, to believe in something. For example, again, I want to be a medium receiving message from God himself. And I start to write messages from God. right? It is playing with our pride, playing with our wishes, playing with what I would like to be, and anything like that could happen, all right? And there is also a possibility, for example, we have a mediumship meeting only to receive good messages. On this mediumship meeting, there's only benefactors coming to give good messages. There is something wrong. There is something wrong. If there is a true reason behind that, maybe. But if the people get together and suddenly they start only to receive good messages, good messages, good messages, there is something wrong. The mediumship meeting must have a purpose to help spirits. And having only good message is more like a competition. Medium A get a good message, medium B also need to get a good message, medium C. Well, I cannot be behind, so I also get a good message. When you realize you're wasting a wonderful possibility to practice charity because everybody wants to get a good message from good spirits, and then it becomes lost. I'm not saying that from time to time we cannot have a good message. Yes, we can, and they come. And most of the time to give us support to what we do, to show us that we are on the right path, or perhaps we need to adjust a little bit. It does happen. But a meeting that constantly only have messages like that, there's something wrong. Doesn't match. And if you want to get good messages, well, if I was in Brazil, I would say buy a book, because there are thousands of books with good messages from good spirits already. You just need to read what is there. So here is a bit different, but there's also enough information that anyone can go to the good library and buy a good book as well. So we need to be attentive to those kind of details. That is why these spirits dread, more than anything else, persons who see things clearly. Their tactics is nearly always that of inspiring their mediums to avoid whoever might open their eyes. Thus, by avoiding any contradiction, they are always certain to be being the right. And I think I mentioned here last weekend that quite often when the person feels under those examples we gave here, felt under those examples, we end up losing the person. Why? Because we don't want to hear anything that contradicts what I want. And that's a human nature anyway, right? We don't like to be contradicted. And if I am under a process of influence, make me believe that I'm top notch, I'm the best person ever, I'm the best medium of the group, I'm the best speaker of the group, I'm the best anything. I don't want anyone to come to me and say that I'm not. I don't want anyone to come to me and say, Gil, pay attention. You may be under an obsession process. You may start to talk about weird things, pay attention what you're talking. Well, the action you're having here with us may be a bit contradictory if you start to pay attention what is written in the gospel or something like that. No, I don't want to hear that. So what I'm going to do? I will leave. Is that because I want to leave? Sometimes yes, sometimes not. Sometimes I'm pushed by those spirits who are creating those scenarios around me to think that I have to leave. Well, this group is not for me then. They cannot absorb my greatness. They cannot enjoy the possibility of my company. They are so narrow-minded that I'm wasting my time here. I'll find better people to work with. And so on, so on, so on. So in my experience, when we do have a case of obsession, and going to fascination. Most of the cases, the person will leave the group. Because on top of everything we said here, people become embarrassed and they prefer to restart again somewhere else instead of being in a group that were witnessing my failure, my fall. So people will leave. And we'll see that. And sometimes people will leave saying that, well, since I started to be part of this group or doing mediumship, or my life became bunkers, or my life became a disarray, or I'm starting to feel sick, I'm starting to feel unbalanced since I joined it. Of course. Of course. Is that you talking or they talking? I also saw that many times. Hi, Osali.
Yeah. I forgot to say something. I think it's important too. When I prayed, I started to pray for him too, or for this. Oh, thank you, some come here, blah blah. So when if all my heart, I think, oh Jude, help me, help him to please be her. And I think, then stop it to this thing. I think that so that I think that it was a little bit light. So this is interesting because when I pray, you talk about love to. Yeah, you said something a few minutes ago, and I think it was good for me because it's helped me. It's true because, but from heart, we must burn for heart. Help me, my God, help him too. Or this spirit song would like to chant because I love to be in the Saturday in this works. I know I love this, and I think it's vanish. Then so
Good example. Good example.
yes,
On any situation, prayer is one of our tools, right? Even in a mediumship meeting, sometimes we pray because this is one of our tools. We pray for our kids, we pray for our husbands and wives, we pray. This is one powerful tool we have. And sometimes we forget to pray for those spirits because it's very difficult to pray to someone that is annoying us, right? The human reaction is, I want him to go away or her to go away. And sometimes I pray, oh, Father, help me to remove this person from my side. Help me to remove this spirit from my side. But the right prayer would be, help this person or help this spirit to find a true path, to find light, to find the assistance he or she needs. Hi, Liz.
Hi, Guilherme. Before I say my question, you said something very nice there, praying for those that are annoying us and doing us harm or trying to do us harm. And I think we should even thank the experience because it does teach us a lot about ourselves and teach us a lot about what true charity means, really. For my question, you were talking about mediums who've been fascinated, obsessed, not going to the group and not kind of, seeking help, obviously. Like you said about us having doubt as being one way for us to be vulnerable, our pride, being very proud, as being another way for us to be vulnerable to harmful influences. But then I start thinking, what about the group? is there any experience that you had that kind of, you know, a group actually pushed the medium away, or a group was fascinated? And I know that, you know, it's just curiosity of mine if there is such a thing, because there are many people involved. But I also, in my city, I heard about, when I was there, I heard about malpractices that happen in spiritist centers, and, like, you know, people were just really their practices and their things that they've been doing just doesn't go well with what Kardec said whatsoever. And you know, it's just something that I wanted you to let me know your experience.
Yeah, you're giving me food to make a lecture here, but that's not the goal. So you said about so many things, and let me go first one. Have you seen a situation where the whole group was under fascination process? No, I never saw a group that where everyone was under fascination. I saw a group where part of the members were involved in the process, right? And I don't remember if I gave an example here already or not. And we, in one of the spirit centers that I worked, we had a situation that one person in particular was completely in disarray. And we are human beings. When we are unbalanced, we always try to pull someone closer to us. I don't want to be alone, right? And I try to convince the person next door that I'm right and the other one is not right. And we start to have that kind of conflict. This is human to start with. And when we have the spirits pushing us to do that, does not help, right? So normally when you do have one person fascinated in a group, he or she will try to convince others, follow me. I'm the right one. I'm the elected one, right? And this is very common. Yes, that I saw more than once, right? And we came to an extreme that when the situation was not resulting in what they were expecting, one of the persons that was a medium, he started to hear things and he started to believe that, I'll give an example. Well, Gil said that to me and that he's blah, blah, blah. And Gil did not open his mouth. Well, but Valerie also said that, blah, blah, blah. Valerie was not even there. You see, because we are like antennas, we can capture things that they want us to think and to see, and we need to be very attentive. Because when we are in such a process, well, Charles told me to leave the group. Everybody was there. Everybody heard Charles telling me to leave the group. To the point that sometimes you even question yourself. Did he say that to me? Or did I say that? Because he's so convincing, that situation, that you, whoa, let me analyze. Well, I think that's what we should do anyway. Let me analyze everything. Perhaps I'm really missing something and I may have said that. And sometimes we need to evaluate and even talk to other people. See, did I say that? Did I say anything that make him believe that I say that? So it's very complicated situation, but yes, I saw that. And in that situation in particular, we lost the person. That was the icon of the event. We lost the person. And when he left, he took with him another 2 persons of the group. I'm happy to say that today he's back. She's back. They returned after a period of time. But the first instant, at that moment, they left. Right? Couple of years down the road, we could see the same thing happening again. Exactly the same modus operandi, but with different people, different actors. But then we start to pay attention. It sounds familiar. Exactly the same pattern that happened the previous time. And then, because we have learned for the first time, we say, well, watch out for that. Again, we lost people. And it was exactly the same pattern, exactly the same pattern. Yeah, so that I experienced myself, right? And you had so many other questions. Can you say another one? Because I'm start to get old and I'm losing my plot.
No, you didn't start to get old. You just answered the question that I asked. I just made a comment, and then to ask you a question, I commented on what I thought. Yeah, don't worry about the rest. You did well.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. But there's something I want to talk about. You said about the group not following Kardec's teachings, or at least what he brought to us, right? It happens very often. It happens very often because we hear what we want to hear. We read what we want to read, and we interpret as we want. Likewise, I'll give another example here. You hear me saying many times that I'm totally against Spiritist Center that establish rules that someone to join a mediumship meeting need to go to a university, a Kardec university, before able to work or develop he or she her mediumships. And the other day I had a person saying in one of the groups we participate, well, thank you to allow me to be here, because my Spiritist Center does not allow me to be here, would not allow me to be part of that kind of apprenticeship, because before we go before you even think about joining a mediumship meeting, I need to study for 7 years. Really? Tell me where in Kardec is written that. But this is more like people wanted to see Kardec saying that than anything else, because he does not say that, right? And there are situations where the person will come to the Spiritist Center totally unbalanced, mediumship booming everywhere. I can hear, I can see, I can feel, I can have physical effects around me. Really? You're going to tell that person that he or she needs to study 7 years before you can help her? Are you telling me that you teach her to control her mediumship reading a book? Okay. I do something different. I think it's our duty to help mediums that are coming to us. It's our duty to open doors to young people with mediumship. Otherwise, they will end up in hospitals. Otherwise, they will end up being addicted to drugs to control their mediumship and many other things, right? So I never saw anything in Kardec that goes against Jesus' teachings. Never. And I read a bit. Never. I read a bit of all the other mediums that wrote books that we consider as safe, like Chico Xavier, for example. I never saw anything that would go against Jesus' teachings. If you do, please show me. Because I may be wrong. I can be totally wrong, but I never saw anything that would go against it, right? So we all here are in an age that we have kids, or we could have kids. In my case, almost grandkids. So if one of your kids start to show mediumship, and 8 out of 10, when we start to have mediumship, it comes in an unbalanced format, would you like someone to help him or her now? Or would you like to have someone telling you, well, because of the age, the only thing we can do is to put him in a gospel study. When he comes or she comes to an age of 18, then he needs to start to study the Kardec University. That will take another 7 years before something happens. Really? Do you think your son that is in distress? Because we see that many often they come in distress because they see things that nobody sees, because they feel things nobody feel, because they are afraid. They think they are getting crazy. Do you think your kid can wait 9, 10 years until someone die from that mediumship meeting to perhaps give him an opportunity? This is not spiritism. This is not charity. Did Jesus ask the apostles to be in a university for 10 years before they can come and work with him? Did he? I don't think so. So we need to review our concepts. And don't take my word saying, Gil is saying we don't need to study. No, I'm not saying that. You always hear me saying that mediums, above all, need to study for life. Spiritists should do the same. But mediums, it is a must. Unfortunately, a very low number of mediums take that to heart. Unfortunately. And they suffer. They suffer because, on the end of the day, we all want to grow up. There are so many ways that we can be helped studying systematically. So, when you said that, Liz, it touched me. You pulled me a string because I had so much problem with that in the past. Because people on the Spiritist Center sometimes they say, no, close the doors. This is the time. Close the door. If the person does not come in until 8, he or she will not be able to receive the healing. What? Okay. I'm going outside then. Close the door. If the person arrives, I'll be here. No worries. Until people realize what true charity means. And then when they realize that, they feel comfortable doing it, or in some cases, they leave. Because we have losses on the way. People that did not accept an open arms way of doing spiritism, they leave. But funny enough, some of them, a couple of years later, they came back asking for help. They were welcomed. We could not say anything different. Right? But spiritism is not to be sad. It's not to be driven by grumpy people. Spiritism has to be charitable all the time, otherwise it's not spiritism. Spiritism needs to be open for progress. I'm using my own words here, but you can find that in Kardec. Spiritism is a progressist doctrine. You can find that on the Genesis, for example. You can find that on the Gospel, for example. But we are human beings, and we make mistakes. And depending who is driving a society, a group, this group will reflect sometimes that people perception of what is spiritism or what is right or what is wrong. But that's, once again, that's why I always refrain to everyone, study Kardec. Don't believe me. Get your own conclusion. Study the matter. And then you will master yourself what is written there. So it's not because I'm saying something. No, because you read, you studied, you understood what is there. That's the only way we have to protect ourselves and to do the true spiritism. And I'm going even further. I'll say something that sometimes people are not even pleased. if you see anything in Kardec that goes against Jesus' teachings or charity, stick with Jesus. If you see anyone in name of Kardec promoting anything I just said, stick with Jesus. But if you manage to convince yourself that Jesus is not love, is something else, then you have a problem. The problem is not in what you're reading. The problem is in yourself. Sorry, the other list, I left your hand hanging for too long. Is you now?
Yeah, hi everyone. I was wanting to actually share a real life example of a group that was taken over about 20 years ago. It was a charity. And there was a wealthy German Swiss guy, his wife, he was a publisher, and he was dying of lung cancer. And he asked my dad, who was his financial advisor, and my mom, if they would take over the charity for him and run it. And they ran it very well. And this charity was to help disadvantaged children. And of course, with charities, you need to have trustees. And they were looking for a new trustee who obviously would go through the interview process and everything, because money was donated to help them in education, music, or anything like that, and for African children, whatever. And so I recommended a friend I bumped into who was in my first year, etc., at school. He went through the interviews. He managed to manipulate, because he was actually a kind of psychopath narcissist. So he could come across very knowledgeable and everything in the interviews and, you know, be exactly the person that they were looking for. Once he got his feet under the table, he totally dislodged the way and the path of that charity, because he wanted the kudos of donating and being seen the giver of money to different things, instead of the money actually being shared and invested into a community in the Cotswolds. So he railroaded everyone, and unfortunately the money was all given out. So he got all the kudos. He managed to hoodwink, you know, the other trustees into voting his ideas through for the same reason. It's pride. They wanted to have their names as recommended. And the charity closed down. And it was doing really, really well. So this isn't a case of a group taken over, convinced otherwise as to the pathways that, you know, they had set their goals and were doing really well. And in the end, they had to sell the 20 acres they had that belonged to the charitable philanthropist German, you know, in order to pay everything off or whatever it was. But it was very, very sad, because, you know, in spirit, the people involved in that philanthropy, you know, and everyone else surrounding it would be upset, because, you know, it was a really good charity. So that can just as well happen in spirit world, influencing as it can in real life.
Yeah, and we'll not have time to elaborate much about because of our time today, but I would like to just say one thing. Charity and money don't work well for me. Spiritism and money is a recipe for disaster. Because one of the things that creates a lot of problems on earth is money. You won't see me getting connected to a charitable event or a charitable work with money. Because there are so many ways to do charity without involving money. If you want to, get something, buy food, give something. And bear in mind that sometimes people come to our Spirit Center. How much you want? I don't want anything. I want to help. Buy food and come with us. and we distribute the food. Don't give money to us. We don't want money. We don't want money. And some people are against that. Well, don't you trust yourself? I do. Today. Tomorrow, who knows? Too much money may change a person's perspective. You know? And don't mix both things. That's my advice to everyone. Don't mix both things. We can be charitable without mixing with money. But that is our time. And Munir, he's spoken a lot today, so I'll ask Munir to do a final prayer.
Sure. Let's now join our thoughts, our hearts, and together as one big family, let's raise them to the benefactors and then to our Father and Creator. Thank you for the blessings that we receive every time we get together to study, to gain knowledge, but to improve ourselves. We thank for the study of today, and we ask for the presence of the benefactors so that this study may sink inside ourselves, transforming us little by little into shiny spirits, able to help and love our brothers and sisters. So be it.
Amen.
Thank you, everyone. See you all next week.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.